Hi, this is Paint Girly, or Lori, with Time to Be Creative. And today I'm going to just let my camera roll, and I'm going to get involved with a junk journal. I had this wonderful idea to work on some junk journals, and I thought I'd do, several at one time. I am a vendor at a craft co-op in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, and so I wanted to get some in the store and possibly put some in my Etsy shop. Well, I tea-dyed some paper and got my pages together and made my signatures and all that jazz, and then I started to put them together, and I thought, I think I've bitten off more than I can chew. So I have 3 that are assembled and have kind of a theme, but now I've pulled out some paper and I'm going to start working on the pages and junk them up, if you will. So the first one I was going to show you is some material. I just went to my thrift shop and bought some cheap books, took the pages out, tea-dyed my own pages, made my signatures. There's a lot of videos on YouTube that you can watch if you're not familiar with how to go about doing that, and they're much better at it than I am. But I just covered this one with some material a friend had given me, and then I just put my signatures in this morning. So that's one book, and I think I'm going to go with the theme of just a fun, bright colored book with that one. This one, the pages are mostly just parchment pages, and then I've added some burlap and some burgundy type material. I did some stitching the other day on the pages, and I'm going to add these in the book somehow, but I think I'm going to go with maybe a floral and burgundy type theme on this one. And then this book, the cover was really nice when I purchased it, and I think when I put my signature in this morning, some of my Mod Podge and my glue seeped through, and I kind of got a stain on my spine. Or maybe it's split there now that I'm looking at it. But this one says Natural History, so I was going to leave that because I decided to do a flag. A friend had given me some bits of material and pieces of scrap that she no longer needs, and so I was stitching some of the pages. This kind of just started to come together as far as maybe a patriotic themed journal. So I went into my paper stash now and pulled out some things that I think will work. And I'm just going to work here. I may end up not uploading this video, but I'm just going to work, see what happens. I have no plan. See how the video turns out. See what kind of trouble we can get into. So I went through and pulled out some of my reds and blues. These are, the camera doesn't show the colors very well, and I'm still trying to figure out how to get a true color from what I'm looking at on the screen. Oh, and to get rid of the shadow, I have to get my husband to look at this and help me, I think. But I'm just going to go with it. When I've watched the videos back, they're not as bad as they look on my computer screen, so I'm hoping that this will turn out a little better than it looks like it will right now. So I just went through my paper stash. I went through all my little bits and bobs of stuff. I'm not sure what I'm going to use or how this is going to turn out, but I'm just going to put this stuff aside. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the pages yet. I found some Americana kind of stuff. This is actually a Tim Holtz Christmas pack, but I think it'll work for a red, white, and blue. Let me see if I can get that to focus. Is it there? So I think I might be able to incorporate that. This has a couple of little post office type things in there, so I thought that might work. Pulled out some mustaches and then some more 4th of July USA stuff. This is other Tim Holtz stuff I've had with license plates. Not sure that I'll use that, but I thought I'd pull it out. And just some wood grain, reddish wood grain lettering, and some keys, a ruler. All that stuff might look good in a red, white, and blue type of journal. Now the first thing I see that I did here, and I'm not sure how that's going to work, I put some chalk lines where I wanted to line up and put my flag, thinking I could remove that easily. And it looks like it's going to erase okay for me. But I think at some point I'm going to get a marker and just outline this and cover that up anyway. Now the first thing I want to think about is my inside and my backside cover, because this is an old book, and it was from an old elementary school that I found this in a thrift shop. And so I need pieces of paper to cover up that mess. So I'm thinking maybe I might want these stars. Now a lot of times I eyeball things, but not with something like this, because I need to have the exact measurement. And I want to butt that paper up close to my signature. So it looks like I want maybe 5 7/8. I don't mind if a little bit of that white shows. This is like a Tyvek type of paper, you know, like those envelopes that you can mail things in, they're not supposed to tear. That's what I attached my signatures to, but it's stark white, so I took some inking, an ink pad and a dabber, and just kind of muddied that up a little bit. All right, so I said 6 7/8, right? Or did I say 5? By 7.5. I'm not very good with measurements. It's usually best if I write things down. So I want 6 7/8 by 7.5. Now, the question is, do I have enough to do, if I do 6 inches, yeah, see, I'm already wrong. I wanted 5. All right, so if I want 5 7/8. Hello. And then I'll have enough to do the front and back cover. I have my trimmer right behind me here. So I'm going to bring my trimmer in. And I'm going to cut this 5 7/8. Now I like to figure out my inside and backside cover at the start of a project, when I have all my paper together that I'm going to use, so that I make sure I have what I need for my cover. Because if you go ahead and start scrapping, it's with any scrapbook project, you only have so much paper available. You want to make sure that you have enough for your cover and your back cover. And then I want to measure this 7.5. And then I'll still have some left over to do some decorating. No, that doesn't look right, of course. So I think we can go let's do 7 1/4. And my my trimmer, where this arm comes out, is right where the 7 is, and it's not easy to see. So I'm going to go this way and trim it 1/4 inch from here. And that looks like that'll work pretty good. So I got that one measurement was good. So this one, I'm not sure where the 1/4 inch mark is because I can't really see it. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. And I'll just take 1/4 inch off here. Alright, so now I got my front cover and my back cover. Like I said, I'm probably not going to glue that in or secure that until towards the end of the project. But this way I have them. Now it looks like here, for whatever reason, I cut that a little, it's a little short. So I think what I'm going to do is in the back cover then, I'm going to add another piece to make a pocket. That's too short. Well, this might look cute. Get some lettering in there. Now this is the other part that is confusing to me, so I want to make sure I cut it the right. So I want to do, I think 7.5 this way. Sometimes I get myself twisted around. Doesn't take much. So this will come out to this edge here. Well, I think I only want to take about 1/8 off. So I'm going to eyeball this. And I think I want the pocket to only be maybe 1.5 inches deep. I just want to come underneath this line here. So this is going to get glued down here, and this is going to get glued there, just on the edges, so that I can hold a few things in the back. And I have all my punches down here. And of course I'll end up inking the edges and whatnot, and I may have to trim this out a little bit. But then I'm going to just do a little half moon cut. I think all my punches are dying, starting to wear out. So I have that little cut out. So I'm good there. And then I have my front cover, and I could make a pocket in the front if I wanted to. And maybe go this way. So I'm going to cut off little bit off of that edge. I've got a tower of stuff sitting behind me, and if I'm just waiting for it to all come tumbling down. I'm a very messy crafter. I hate to admit that, but it's true. I think that'll work, and I'm gonna again make a little half moon cut. That punch is kind of sticking a little bit on me. Okay, so that's good. Now I have to decide what I want in my front page here. Whether I want another pocket, or if I want to stamp on anything, or have it just for journaling. So I'm just going to kind of go through here. I'm going to trim some of my threads. Just sewed a couple of things in the other day while I have the sewing machine out. And I do like some of these little threads, but I don't need them to be as long as some of them are. Now see, this is the back side of where I stitched. Let's see if I can zoom us in a little bit. So I'll be covering that up with something. So those threads can really be trimmed down. I love this here. This has to be glued down so it can make a little pocket, but I may want to do some decorating there. The first couple of journals that I made, I put too much in them, and then there were so many signatures and they were so fat I couldn't shut the book. So I try to pay attention to the width of the spine and only put a few signatures in. Like this one only has 2. It looks like I cut through that spine there. I don't know how I did that. And so I still want to stuff it full of things, but with 2 signatures, I'm more likely to be able to close the book. And if I put these up for sale and somebody buys it, they want to add their own additional things into the book, you have to allow for that. And then when my girlfriend gave me these bits of paper and material, she is also a crafter. She does wonderful things. Shout out to Lorraine. Hi, Lorraine. And she'd stiffened up this material, and I just loved it. So I thought, oh, let me put that in a book. So that's how I kind of have headed towards the red, white, and blue theme. But like this piece here, I'm sure it was a scrap of a project that she worked on, but I just loved it. But it's got a little mark or something there. I'll put a button or something there to cover that up. All right. I'm trying to get a feeling for what I want to do here. Oh, look, that has that on the other side. What if I fold that? maybe a little book or a little enclosure. I can corner those edges and I could glue it down. Alright, so that piece might work for there. Something like that. Let's see what else we have here. Well, sometimes you just have to jump in, don't you, and do what you're going to do. I'm going to trim this one piece of paper. If I do everything in blue, I kind of try to think of the two pages when it's open to make it like one cohesive scene or spread. So if I do this and keep with the cream colored, beige color, and the blue, then I can accent in burgundies or reds. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe make a corner pocket here that some things can be slipped into. And I'm just going to follow. I'm going to trim off the edge. I think I'll do that with a pair of scissors. Now you could staple this on, you can glue it on, however you like to attach things. I like to use Mod Podge for certain things. I don't like the Mod Podge for surfaces that are going to be exposed because I can't seem to get it to dry well enough, and a lot of times the article remains sticky. I mean, I've decoupaged tin cans and they look real cute, but they don't dry. But to glue things on that you want things to glue and glue quickly, dry kind of quickly. I think we're having trouble with the autofocus. Let me see if that's a little better. I like to use the Mod Podge. And I put it in a little bottle like this. This is getting low. I have to refill it. I lost my cap. So I just have a pin in here right now to keep the nozzle clear. And this allows me to put a thin bead of glue wherever I want. And this just works really well for me. It doesn't work for everybody, I get that, but for me it works pretty good. So that's what I'm going to use, and I want to ink my edges because I am a freak about inking edges. Of course, I'm not sure I have my inker right here. I have a feeling this video is going to be like really long. I have 3 gosh, I don't even know what you call them. It's like the little, it's got the little wooden handle, and you can ink the edges, get the ink up off your pad. course, I'm not finding any of the three. I had it this morning. This is what I'm saying. I'm a messy crafter. I throw stuff everywhere. It's a very bad habit. And I thought I cleaned up that stuff and brought it out. Let me just grab I'm just going to grab a clean little sponge and see if I can do it with this. So I'm just taking, I love Tim Holtz products and Ranger products. This is the Vintage Photo Distress Ink. And I'm just making this a little, just making it look a little older, a little more antique-ish. Now before I put this on, I want to think about the rest of this page, because you can add things in this pocket, but then you've got this area here that really you can journal on or add things. So I want to think about that. And so I know I have, you know what, I'm just going to do it this way because I'm just going to use an old gift card. And I'm just going to make some lines. First, I'm going to just kind of muddy this up a little bit. I put little Velcro dots on the top so I can kind of keep my sponge with the right ink pad. So I'm just scrunching this up a little bit. And then I'm going to, it's not very flat under there. And I want to have a flat surface. You'll see why in a minute. So I'm going to take this calendar and I'm taking my ink and I'm just running the edge of my gift card in that ink, and I'm just going to make some lines. That if you wanted to journal, you can journal. They don't have to be exact. They don't have to be perfect. In fact, the more rustic they look, the better I like it. It's also a good idea to keep a little tub of baby wipes near where you're working, so you can clean off your fingers or whatever else you might be using. And that comes in quite handy. Okay, so now I probably will come back once I pull out some stamps of what I want to use throughout the book and stamp something on there. But for right now, I'm just going to glue this on, and I'm going to leave this whole corner up so I can slip something in instead of a pocket. I'm going to have the pocket over here, and then I'm just going to have that little corner. And so I'm just going to take my glue, put a little bead of glue down. And I don't spread this out because I don't generally have a problem. Some people seem to have a problem with the glue like making a lump and being raised up, but I don't really. The other thing that the baby wipe is good for is if you have any little glue pop out from your edge, you can wipe it right up. So I'm just going to give that a few seconds to set up and start thinking about what I want to do on this page. Now I've got green stripes here which really don't kind of go. So I might think about adding some burlap. Trim that out. Or I could put in a piece of this, which might look good across from the flag. All right, so I'm going to measure. So tightly, that's 5.5. So if I come in, I think this is 7. A little shy of 7. So if I do 6 by 4.5, let's see how that looks. Okay, that'll work. Now I think I want to, for the person to be able to journal on here, and I have a lot of different things that I've been saving to put in journal books. So I might put a page of a book, or I might take a page that I've gessoed on, or I might take a ticket, gosh, what do you call it, like a guest ticket, and add on here. So for right now, I'm just gonna count on attaching this. I also can make this a place where the person can slip in a card or some kind of a little ticket or treasure. So I'm going to grab another punch. This is a, I think this is a discontinued punch. I forget the name of the company. I'm not sure if it's got it on here. It's hard to see. There's something right up under the handle. Oh, it's an EK punch. EK Success Punch. Paper Shapers, it says. But it's a tab. So when you punch this out, let me show you. When you punch this out, it makes a tab that you can then fold in half and attach to the edge of your page or card. So it makes it easier to pull something out of a pocket or to flip a page. But I also like to use it to create a little spot where you can pull things in and out of. So that's how I'm going to use that. And again, it would be very helpful if I could find my little inking tool, because I'm going to ink my edges. And like I said, I'm going to put something on top of this. But for right now, make sure you ink right down in there. I don't like to see a lot of, now the back of this paper is like a craft color, your tan, brownish paper bag color. But a lot of times the paper is white on the back side, and so, or it's not, the color's not in the core, it doesn't go all the way through, and you see that gaping white. I don't like that. So you can ink your edges either with a marker or with an ink pad. So I'm going to put that there. So our card on the other side is attached very well. I'm going to take my, now this I'm going to glue on 3 sides, and I'm using the Mod Podge again because this will dry where whatever we slide in the pocket will not get stuck. If you use that dry, I think they call it a dry tape. It's in the ATG, I think they call it an ATG gun, where it's a tape dispenser, and you can run a tape line along those outside edges, and they're very handy for certain things. But when you put them in, when you use it when you're doing a pocket like this, if you slip a card in there and it gets down too far, if it's not adhered properly, your card's going to stick in that type of glue. So anytime I'm gluing down a pocket, I want to use glue, which basically that's what Mod Podge is. It doesn't have as much liquid, I don't believe, and so it doesn't buckle for me. Everything dries pretty flat, which is a plus. Now see, this here could also be used as a pocket. So I think for right now I'm going to let that go. Might decorate around that. So now we're here where we've got 2 pages. I want to kind of coordinate those. I've got my stitch lines here from adding on this piece of flag. So I may want to cover that with something. I think I'm going to take a little bit of white cardstock and just trim a little piece. I'm going to trim these little threads down. And this is, I think, something I picked up at Walmart, Sticko. I think you can get these at Walmart. And they're fairly reasonable. I think I'm going to put the God Bless the USA on here. And this just peels off. And I'm just going to eyeball that on there. I'm going to make sure you burnish that down and get a really good stick. Sorry, I'm making a lot of racket. Of course, you never can find what you're looking for when you want it. have a little punch that makes your card look like a little ticket, and it chunks off the corners. But I've got so many projects going on, and I don't always... Oh, I found my stamp thing. I don't always put everything back because I have it in another spot in my craft room working on another project. I would like this to look like a ticket, but I can't find my little ticket punch. So, like I said, my punches are kind of wearing out. This is a Memory Keepers. I think that's what they call it. Memory Keepers punch. This is one of the best things I ever bought, was this punch. I use this so much. There's just some things that you don't know if you want to spend the money to get. This is one tool I have never regretted purchasing. I love it. Another one is, and these are, I'm embarrassed to show you these are my Tim Holtz scissors, and they're really cruddied up. I love these scissors. I have two pair. I found my little tool I was talking about. I don't know if YouTube is going to let me upload a video that's this long. Now, I could staple this card on, but then it's going to show through on the other side, which I don't really want that. So I think I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put my Liberty stamp over here. And this little stars and stripes, I'm going to cut that. Put that there. Now you can always add things. You can add lines, you can add stamps, you can add buttons, you can add ribbon. You just have to be mindful if you want to be able to close the book, how much to put in it so you can still close your pages. Because if you're giving it as a gift or even using it for yourself, there are going to be other things you're going to want to add to it as you use it. This we can slip things under. I'm just trying to decide if I want to stamp maybe some stars or hearts around here. And the question is, do I have any stars or hearts handy? My neighbor was here earlier today and we were going through some things and setting her up to make some cards. And I know I had a bunch of stamps out. And I thought I brought them back to my room, but I don't see them. And I could stamp them after the fact, but it's not smooth underneath there. It would be a lot nicer if I stamped it first. Or if I had some little stickers. Let's see here. Oh, these little stickers would work if I can get them off. The other thing I like to keep handy while I'm working is a pair of tweezers. So I love getting my nails done, but my own nails are terrible. They always look horrible, and they break. But with the acrylic nails, you can't really do anything with them. You can't pick anything up, you can't peel anything off. I'm going to do the red and blue, and then red, and then do the opposite on top. Now, I have tons of stuff in my stash. I could have done better on that, lining that up. And you may not, but if you know that you want to do a journal and you want to do a certain theme, you can check your dollar store. I always check the clearance. That was wrong. I didn't want to put that there. I want to put it opposite. You have a couple of minutes usually that you can when you make a mistake. If you're not in a hurry and you don't need a gift or something by a certain time, a lot of times you can find some things that would work for a project. I love digging through clearance. For me, it's like your AC Moore, Michaels, Joanne Fabric, even Hobby Lobby. That's a little bit of a distance for me, but when I get in there, oh, my poor husband, he just goes and sits in the car. Okay, so I think that looks better. Now I'm going to glue this down. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the edges, put a little drop of glue, make sure it hits the edges of my stitched area. Sometimes I see there I backed up, so it's like, but it is paper. So to try to avoid an issue where it would tear or that would come loose, just add a little glue for reinforcement. And I'll just leave that dry for a few minutes. Now, at some of the thrift shops, I've been picking up things like old recipe cards, old recipe books, or books that have pages and information about gardening and things like that that I can tear out and fold and put in the junk journals to help fill them up and give them some character. So I'm not sure what I'm going to fill this with. Alright, now here maybe we can do a page that folds out. They're always kind of fun, and they're really not a lot of work. Just something different. This is paper that kind of looks like a barn door. Just absolutely love it. Looks like I tried to stamp something on there. Didn't work. It didn't quite work out. So this would be hard to write on. You could do it if you had a white pen. Not everybody has a white pen. So I think I want to look for some kind of paper like this. I could use the back or the front. This is one that I tea dyed, and this has lines. I could easily cut a piece of this and glue it on. We could do it that way too. Now let's trim off the bottom where I stamped. And then I trimmed off the top. Now it's just a little bit too wide. And I'm terrible at remembering measurements. And then I write it down and forget where I write it. So if we do 4 1/4, I'll have a nice little border around the edge. And I could fold it this way, right there. It could be off-centered and kind of lift up. I could put something else down there. So let's, I think I hear my husband moving around in the kitchen. I think it's probably dinner time. This is what I mean. I eyeball stuff instead of measuring. I think we're going to go about, let's do 3 1/4 inches. Now that kind of cracked a little bit, so I'm a little disappointed with that. Usually that doesn't happen. You could use a little nail file as a sander. Oh, it's buried, I can't get to it. And I'll have one sitting here, but if you use like an emery board kind of a thing, you can get that rough edge off. Let's see. Dig one out. Oh, there's one. That may not bother you, but if it does, there's a fix. And of course I would ink that. And then you just want to make sure that that's stable enough. I don't know if that's going to work. I'm going to ink our other edges. And you can use all different colors. You can use black. If you're working on a book, say for a young girl, I mean, she likes pink and purple, use pink and purple. Not everybody's into this grunge. Now I got two options here. I can put it on this way and add paper. So you can either put a picture up here or journal down here. I'm not liking the way that looks, so I think I might put a piece of washi tape across the top there, and that will reinforce it as well. I'm really disappointed that that didn't work. Most paper holds up a little better than that. I don't know what company this is. Not happy with that. Got to think about that a little bit. Well, let me just finish this part here. So I want to go a little smaller. So I'm going to go 3 1/2 by 2 3/4, I think. 2.5 by 3 3/4. So to me that looks cute. And then on the bottom, I might want that a little bit wider, so I think I'm going to do 4 inches by 6. See how that looks. We can always take some off if I have a piece that big. 4 inches. Well, I've got a fold here, so I'm going to cut right below the fold. Now that my cutter caught on that. Oh, and I just noticed I had this on the back, so that's not going to work for me. But I do like this here, so I'm going to ink the edges of this. See how you can see that white line? Let's get that out of the way. So I'm going to glue that completely down. Now I could get out my tape runner. It would work in this spot because it's going to be glued completely down. See, this is my other problem. I save everything. See this? I've stamped on this, did all kinds of stuff on this, tea dyed it. I should have probably just thrown it out. But see, now I'm using it in a book. And it's going to look really cute. And I'll put something at the top there. There's some kind of a clip. I could put a little paper clip. I could put a little eyelet. I could put one of those little brads. I could put some twine. I think I'm going to have to look at my washi tape and see what I can put on there. And I may have to look through my paper stash to see if I have anything else that kind of matches that. This might work. Yeah, how does this look? That's not quite big enough, but that's an idea as well. Yeah, let me see if I can trim that. That's kind of cool. So if I bring that up to here, I could stamp something down here. Or I could put that mustache. Now one side is smooth and the other side is bumpy. I'm going to put the bumpy side up just so whoever's using the book will realize. And then I'm going to glue that, but then I'm going to add a piece of tape as well. Mostly for decorating. maybe a mustache at the bottom would be cute. Oh, it's in 2 pieces. Wasn't expecting that. Probably don't have that centered. This is my box of washi tapes. So I'm not sure that I have a lot of red, white, and blue kind of a look. So I don't want something that's real thin. And that might work. It's got little numbers on it. That might work. It might be a little, see, I think this would look cute, but it's so narrow. Oh, these 3 are cute. I love this. I just bought this one, but I don't think it won't work for this book. All right, let's use one of those. All right, I think I like the hand pointing. Finger pointing. And I usually like to just tear it so it's not cut. But that's just me. Now we did glue that, so that's secure. I think that kind of works with the mustache at the bottom of the page. And then we have the top of the page. Now I want to put some here, and I want that to be secure. So I think I'm gonna take it like this. Now washi tape, if you're not familiar with it, you can put it down and then you can pick it back up again. And gosh, there's thousands and thousands of designs. But it doesn't always stay where you put it. So because I'm concerned about this edge, I'm going to put some glue down on both sides. And then I'm going to put my tape down. And I just stuck my finger in the glue. See, and I ended up wiping that all off. Isn't that silly? I did it too soon. Now I'm trying to remember what I have as far as decorations and metal looking stuff. So I'm going to let that dry. See, soon that looks cute already, right? We could put a tab down here. we could use this paper that I was going to discard. So that whoever's using the book knows to lift up there. And you may not be as crazy as I am. Oh, see, now it's right. I chose to punch right where that... I'm making myself crazy. I want to get a spot where there's nothing on the other side. There we go. And then you want to fold that. Now I'm going to, of course, ink it. And then I'm going to add some glue. A little bit here, a little bit here. This is why building junk journals takes, I'm going to offset it, takes time. Because once you start, you get other ideas. I should use my baby wipe. Okay, now I'm going to tape this all the way down, and I probably am going to put some kind of a message or a pocket there. I did have a star, a paper star, that I was holding aside for this particular book. What else was I thinking I might have? I don't have my hot glue gun plugged in, but that's always a good idea too, to plug in your glue gun. And this is a stash of metal stuff. I'm thinking I want something on that tab. You know, I buy a lot of this stuff. A lot of it I find on clearance racks, and I just will have to buy it. But then I like it so much I hate to use it. Now see, if I was thinking ahead, I would have looked first, and this would have been cute if we put this on the tab, and then the back side of it would have been hidden in between. So I have to remember that for another spot in the book. See, half the stuff I have, I forget I have them. I'll get a couple of those out. I'm thinking... I might just put a number. Just pick a random number. Of course, I could put the page number, but I think that would look cute on there, but I don't want those metal wings, and I don't want to punch a hole through because I don't want that on the other side. So I'm going to pull this apart. And these bend off really very easily, but you can also use little metal cutters like these. I got these with an inexpensive jewelry making kit, and I use these all the time. I can take shanks off of buttons. just have to be careful because that does remain sharp. So you have to be careful. So I'm going to pinch that down a little bit. And this is going to be glued down. So I'm going to put my glue gun on because I think I want hot glue to hold that down. I can use my E6000, but that takes longer to dry. So I think I'm just going to use the hot glue. And then I'm going to use my tape runner before I do that. And then I think that'll be it for today. So I'll make sure I have the right side. Take my tape gun and run tape along the edges. And then I'm going to just drop it down. And then I'm going to burnish that down really well. And then I'm going to come back and add that on that page. And then I have to think about this page. Well, thanks for joining me today. I'll see you next time. Depending on how many views I get on this video may depend on if I upload a part 2. See if any folks are interested. Hope this video gave you some ideas today and encouraged you to maybe start a junk journal. They're really fun to build. Okay, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.